Satan knows it. Satan, that is why we have a lot of dumb preachers who go up and down talking about Jesus they don't know, telling people wrong things. He said, if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. And then he came back and said, whom the God of this world has blinded their eyes
of them which
believe not. Let the light of
glorious gospel of Christ.
The gospel is made glorious by his light. The gospel of Christ. So if you remove light from the gospel, then it will not be glorious. So why do you want to say something else outside the light of the gospel? The light depends. God, Jesus depended on the light, or gospel depends on its light to redeem. So if you remove light from the gospel, it cannot accomplish redemption. In Romans chapter 1 verse 18, he said the gospel has the power of salvation. Has the what? Romans chapter 1 16. It has what? It was yesterday in the evening that I know that I'm about to explode around the world. Now, not noisy explosion, just something awesome, miraculous. An angel came to me. An angel came to me today and told me 3 things. No, 4. And my life was altered. Four things. Hey, look at your dad. Your dad came to me and was telling me that I should do him memorial service. Like something that will make you to take that thing too much. Romans 1:16. For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation. Now, the power of God unto salvation is the power of glorious light. The power of light. So when the Bible says power or salvation, power of God is talking about brightness. It's talking about the light of the world. I am the light of the world, that whosoever that followeth me will do nothing with darkness, but shall walk in the light of life. So light is more important than life itself, because it is light that make life valuable. Let me say again. I say it is light that make life valuable. Now, let me tell you something pathetic. What is pathetic is that a lot of saints who are in the timeline have disappeared. They walk because they don't know about timeline. Their work here ended. Nobody talks about them in heaven. Nobody talks about them on earth. Their name has ended. Their name has ended. There is something I want to tell you about what Jesus told Magdalene, because Jesus knew timeline. When that lady broke the alabaster oil and gave it to her, and Jesus gave it to her, and then he turned to her. I said, anywhere they talk story, anywhere the story of my life is mentioned, they will call your name. Jesus knew. Jesus could see timeline. He could see. Listen, when a man stays on earth and starts seeing timeline, you cannot end his story. I said, if a man is on earth and he can see timeline, and he's already working hard for timeline, there is a vow I have never told you I vowed. The only thing I will labor for on earth is that timeline, the glory timeline, the glorious timeline. Because there's only one candle they are waiting for in timeline. One more candle. The most important light in the timeline this afternoon is the light of Christ, Son of God. God doesn't have light in the timeline, because the light of the timeline there are for departed spirits. Where? Are for departed spirits. So God does not have light where? In the timeline. But they are waiting for Lion of Judah to bring light to the timeline. And there is a space for him there, for his candle. for his candle. Now, why that candle hole doesn't have any candle in it? Because it's a price that should be paid for that light to come there has not been paid. Light cannot be dashed because light has economic value. There are things God will never make you know until you pay. Did you hear what I said? I said there are things God will never reveal to you until you do what? Until you pay. Now, the greatest act of reward on sacrifice is enlightenment. So anytime you're taking a very hot fast, don't ask God something outside light, because nothing is more important than light in eternity. When I said this, I will go away. Nothing is terrible for somebody to live on earth without light in the timeline. Every other thing that took your time, even igniting people. Listen, no matter how I ignite you, what matters to me is my own light. Is it because you're going to come there with your own light? So igniting you is not as important to me as getting my own light, because it is the strength of Jesus' light that he used in destroying Saul. The gospel wouldn't have come to us if the light of Jesus is not victorious in the timeline. Only Apostle Paul could have destroyed the church. Jesus knew that enemies will rise against his church when he goes. So he went to the firmament to stay, to wait for them. To do what? To wait for them. Any of them that rise against him in the timeline, he will come from timeline and smash them on the earth. Because he knew that the disciples he has on earth were fishermen, they were not learned. You cannot bring Apostle Paul and Peter together. You can't bring them. This guy was a learned lawyer and Peter was a fisherman. If you bring two of them to argument, Peter will doubt God. So Jesus knew that he didn't have strong disciples where? On earth. So he started fighting for himself from timeline. What I am preaching now, how do I expect you to repeat it? You can't. You don't know where I'm getting this in from. So what I'm trying to do is to store light in the timeline, so that when I go back there, I'll start fighting from there. It is from there I will fight stubborn presidents. I'm already fighting them now. I don't fight them through prayer. I fight them through illumination. So why will somebody live on earth? Live where? Why will somebody live on earth? And what will you say you were doing on earth after you have left here and there's no light for you in the timeline? How can you be immortal? What is called immortality is having a lot of light where? In the timeline. What I say? Don't forget, if you keep on accumulating light, there are some things you don't pass through anymore. You don't pass through it anymore. You see, because the light you have accumulated will not allow you to pass through it. I said, if you keep on accumulating light, there are things you don't do what? No, you don't pass through. You don't pass through it. Can you sit another place? Gift, miracle. Get up from there and sit there. Because get up. Now, the timeline is an eternal place. Where? It's an eternal place. An eternal place is a place that doesn't have shame. It's a place of reigning glory. That is an eternal place. Let me tell you something before I go away from it. It is a great consciousness to know how powerful light is. A great consciousness. And it is a royal heart. It is a royal heart that knows the power of light. It is only royal hearts. Now, Jesus died to reveal the light of Christ. That's sharing number 4. I want to ask you a question. If you are 30 years now or 40, my question is, what measure of attention have you given to light? And what type of light? Let me say it again. What measure of attention have you given to light, and what type? There are different types of life and different degrees of brightness. I said there are different types of light and different degrees of brightness. No, I know my brightness. I pay for only one form of brightness, and I will enjoy the ruling power of that particular form of brightness. Now, if you look at chapter 5:7 of Revelation, the Bible says, and when they have taken a book, the elders in heaven said to Jesus, he said, deserving are you? He said, to redeem us, because you were slain. They told him that after he unveiled Christ. He said, when you open the book, it wasn't only elders, the dragons in heaven. They said, Jesus, we are worshiping you because you deserve to be worshipped. You have opened the book and then you redeemed us.